Okay, welcome everyone to our last live session for DES 242, Logo and Identity Design. Usually I say, wow, I can't believe it's already the last live session, but with the winter break, this feels like the world's longest mod for me. Most of you had 2 weeks off, but I worked for those 2 weeks, so it just feels like the world's longest mod for me, which is fine though, because this is a fun class. I really, really do enjoy this class. So if there was a class I had to be stuck in for 6 weeks, it would definitely be this one. I love logo design. So don't take that the wrong way. All right, so our agenda for today, I have a couple of announcements to go over. We're going to go over the assignment for week 4, which is how your logo should be presented. And I wanted to kind of show you how Facebook and Twitter, what they say about their logos. They have some brand identity guidelines, which might give you, an idea of how to put yours together. It's very similar to what we did in week 2, making that brand guideline for our client. We're now making it for ourselves. And then also we're going to go over creating print pieces with your logo, making sure it works in all situations, which here's the thing. That's the assessment for this week. You might want to consider doing the assessment before you do the assignment. Make sure that logo is going to work on a business card, an envelope, and a letterhead. If you get in there and you find that it didn't work and you've already put your assignment together, you're going to have to go back and rework that. So you might want to consider working on the assessment before you work on the assignment for this week. Just might kind of help you to make those last minute design choices. All right, so again, telephone hours, Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. Mountain Time to 4 p.m. Mountain Time, but you can email me anytime. Just note that I am located in Eastern Standard Time Zone, and I do take Fridays off, just a heads up and a reminder. So if you are running into any trouble on Friday, I actually will be out of the house all day on Friday. So please make sure that you're getting in with the Student Success Center. If you have any questions that you kind of need answered right away about the assignment, there'll be a good resource for that. I just want to, make sure that everybody is aware that I won't be home on Friday. And I don't want to hold anyone up trying to get their work in for Saturday. So week 4 assignments cannot be turned in late. You have an original discussion post that is due by Wednesday. This is also your last chance to submit your week 3 discussion if it's late, and to submit your week 3 assignment and or assessment if they are late. If you wanted to redo something for week 3, the deadline for that is tonight at midnight. That is if you're here live today. And you only have one chance at your submission for week 4. So please make sure that you're looking over all that work really carefully before you submit it for a grade. And again, those discussions can't be resubmitted. So again, it's our last live session. Thank you to everybody who was able to come live, and for all of you who were able to watch at home. I really appreciate it. It's always fun when there's a bunch of us here. All right, so without further ado, let's hop on over into our announcements first. So here is Wanda's week 4 hours. I told you, I said, I know I'm going to get that email right during our live session, and I did. It came over during our live session. So we'll go over that. And then I also shared some templates with you, which I think will help with the assessment for this week. So Wanda's hours are Tuesday from 5 to 9 p.m. She has Wednesday off. Thursday, she's there from 5 to 9 p.m. Friday, she's there from noon to 5 p.m. And Saturday, she's off. But if you run into any problems, there are other people in the Student Success Center that you can get in and work with. So don't feel like you can't go in because Wanda's not there. You can definitely get in on a day that she's not there. And then I attached some templates from Vistaprint, and I also attached the link to where I got the templates from if you want to look for some different ones. I feel like their templates are pretty standardized. So it's just something that, you know, to make it a little bit easier to make sure, you know, that you've got things within a margin. You know, they're pretty big printers. So their templates are pretty standard for the industry. So I gave a business card, an envelope, a size 10 envelope, and a letterhead template for you guys. And like I said, you can go in and kind of check if you want something else. If you wanted, let's say, a different size envelope, where there, if you go to the envelopes, you can pick from any of the other size ones if you want to do a different size. They have their standard business card, but it kind of shows you, you know, if you wanted to set yours up vertically, I supplied the horizontal one, but you can change it to the vertical one. Download the Illustrator file. Because at first I downloaded the Acrobat file thinking that I could just kind of place that in InDesign, and honestly, it downloaded a printer setting for Acrobat. It wasn't actually their template. So download the Illustrator template, because you should be creating your business cards in either InDesign or Illustrator, not in Photoshop, because we're putting our logo on it. We want to make sure everything's vector. So, you know, download that Illustrator one. That's going to be your best resource. And you can place it in InDesign if you want to design your business card in InDesign, or you can just open it up in Illustrator and design it right in Illustrator with that template. So again, I just thought this would be a little bit easier for you guys, because the first couple of times that you do this, it's a little confusing. Envelopes are definitely the most confusing. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that one. They are definitely the most confusing to do. I actually have some examples that I can show you today of envelopes and of a couple of business cards that I've done. I don't have any letterhead here to show you, just because even when I was doing freelance work, I never sent out a letter, you know, the poor postal service, but I did have it somewhere, and I just don't know where it is right now. I did have a letterhead template. I just never had any letterhead printed out, but I have business cards and just some examples of some envelopes, so you can kind of look over things. And then we'll go over even the postal regulations, because postal regulations are really specific for when you're designing an envelope. So we'll go over that today as well. And just to let you know, I did share the video and the slides in the announcements as well from yesterday. So let's start with, let's just go through week 4. We didn't really get a chance to do that yesterday. We went over the readings and videos, but we didn't get a chance to go into the discussion or the assignment and assessment at all. So for our discussion for this week, we're talking about the value of corporate identity. So as has been noted throughout the course, although the design of a logo is a key element in communicating the values and character of a company to a wider audience, a comprehensive identity system and structure backing up the logo is equally important to ensure that the company presents a consistent image through a variety of elements. So whether on a store, a restaurant, or a sign, an audience will always encounter a logo within the context of something larger. Thus, it's vital to provide clear direction to keep the visual experience cohesive. Consistency is at the heart of identity systems. Corporate identity systems became widespread in the later part of the 20th century. As corporations began to diversify the scope of their services, it became important to find a way to visually represent and translate the look and feel of the parent company over a variety of diverse elements. Today, a corporate identity system is developed soon after the development of a logo. In addition to considering how physical artifacts, vehicles, clothing, packaging might embrace and extend the look of the logo, it's beneficial to consider how the logo should be extended digitally. Websites, social media, apps, etc. There's so many different ways that we use logos these days. Though developing an identity system creates another step in the design process, ultimately it's beneficial because it ensures that the company image remains strong and unique. So here's our prompt for this week. So for this discussion, imagine, we're always imagining, right? We've got so many clients in our discussion. Imagine that you've been hired to create a logo for a fishing and boat rental business. At your first meeting, they revealed that in addition to leading guided fishing trips and renting boats, they also have dinner cruises, own a boat storage facility, operate 3 bait and tackle shops, and they're in the final stages of developing their own line of nautical rain gear and outerwear. When you ask them if all of these different businesses relate somehow visually, they respond by saying that they never really thought about establishing a cohesive identity, and they inquire more about what might be involved. After learning all you have this mod regarding logo and identity design, how might you respond to this client regarding the importance of establishing a cohesive identity? What are the benefits for them in having not just a logo, but a whole identity system? How would you explain how your own design process would shift if you were designing an identity system versus a single logo? What elements could they expect you to deliver? Conversely, how might it impact pricing and timelines? For your citation, you might use articles that show examples of how a cohesive corporate identity system leads to better consumer loyalty. You can also find articles from experts that suggest how to best engage in project discussion and negotiations with clients when engaged in graphic design projects. Your initial and reply posts should work to develop a group understanding of this topic. Challenge each other, build on each other, always be respectful, but discuss this and figure it out together. So again, that identity system is different than just the single logo. So you really want to do some research on what an identity system is. Start with the readings and videos for this week. It really, really does get into that. So I can see some people have already been in there. Awesome. All right, let's also look at our week 4 assignment, and this will kind of drive us into what we're going to do today. So this is part 2 of your personal logo design. So let's go over the background and then the prompt. Because people have an immediate emotional response to any given color, color is one of the most important elements to consider in logo design. A company who wants to present a fresh, positive, upbeat personality would most likely never settle for an all gray and brown color scheme for their logo. Conversely, a company who wants to present a stable, professional, responsible personality would most likely never embrace a color scheme featuring bubblegum pinks, neon yellows, and acid green. Personality is reinforced or undermined by color. Thus, it is vital when designing to consider not only color relationships within a logo, but larger cultural color representations. So here's our prompt for this week. Last week, you worked on your preliminary sketches and black and white computer versions of your personal logo design project. Coming into this week, you should have 3 refined computer versions of your redesigned logo executed in black and white. After you receive my feedback, either in the gradebook or yesterday's critique, you will finalize the logo direction that you feel is most appropriate and create a logo sheet showcasing its appearance in a variety of sizes and situations. So again, after receiving feedback on the week 3 submission, refine the logo direction that you feel is most appropriate. Consider how you can best maintain message consistency within a typeface, color, and overall logo composition. In addition, create and implement a color scheme for your logo that uses at least 2 colors in addition to black and white. So the black and white it doesn't need to be 2 colors and black and white in your colored version. That means that you have at least 2 colors in your final logo, your colored version of your logo, but you still have to do that black and white version, show it in black and white in the logo sheet, kind of like you did during week 2. So once you've completed your logo, you're going to create a logo usage guide for your single chosen logo that includes the following elements: a title bar with your name and your business name, if applicable. If your name is the business name, just as long as you have, again, using those master pages in InDesign, set this up in InDesign and use those master pages. Put your name in the master page, set it all up. You need to have the logo in black and white. Do not use any tints or less than 100% opacity of black. You need to have your logo in grayscale. This is often an equivalent of the colors that it represents. So yellow might be represented in 10 to 15% gray. Red can be 80 to 85% gray. And remember, if you turn it to grayscale and it looks like it might need a little bit of tweaking, I always say err on the side of caution and tweak that grayscale to make it work. Because the point of this logo sheet is they're going to use that grayscale version. Then you need to have your color swatches and keys showing the CMYK callout. So cyan is equal to, magenta is equal to, yellow is equal to, black is equal to for each of the colors. Then you'll do the same thing in RGB. R is equal to, G is equal to, B is equal to, and then also give the hex codes that it has. You need to show the color logo in 1, 3, and 6 inch sizes, and the black and white logo in 1, 3, and 6 inch sizes. Then put the color and black and white logo on a dark background. Remember, that doesn't mean a black background. It just means a darker color. It can be dark gray, like maybe 60% gray or 60% blue. Anything like that. Just a dark background. Then you need to define the logo with a safe zone outline. So how close can other elements get to your logo? That's something that you need to consider. That somebody can't put their name really close to your logo if they're using your logo. You don't want them doing that because people might associate them with you, and if they are not supposed to be associated with you, that could definitely be a big problem. And then a typography overview for type used. So what fonts are used in your logo? Also, when your logo is placed, all of your fonts should be turned to outlines. Don't forget to do that part. So you're going to lay out those elements in a cohesive, well-organized manner. And that well-organized, cohesive manner, that is up to you to design. This is your logo usage guide. So you come up with the design of it for this week. You just need to have all of these elements. So you're going to export that document as a multi-page PDF, but remember to save that native InDesign file, package it and save it so you have it. So as I was saying, and then go over the rubric too. Make sure that you have all of the elements there. Now, as I was saying, let's take a look at the Facebook logo usage guide and the Twitter logo usage guide. If you need some inspiration on how you can use this, you can see they have, here are their logos, how you're able to use them, and you have to accept that you've read the guidelines before you can download them. What might you need permission for? These are all things that you can put in there, not just what's here. Make sure you have all of the parts here, but if you want, somebody needs your permission to use it somewhere, you can put that in your logo usage guide. Don't worry about don't steal word for word, but you can borrow ideas from other logo usage guides that you see out there. Here's some of the, I like how they do the do's and the don'ts. Using the F logo. You know, only use the F logo to promote your presence on Facebook. Don't use the Facebook word mark, which is the corporate identity that refers to Facebook Inc. Here's that keep sufficient clear space. See, this is how much space, and they have it laid out. They show you what's wrong and what's right. That goes back to the logo with the safe zone outlined. See how they set up, and they're showing an example of a safe zone. You can do it just like this, something like this. Don't modify the design or color. You know, you can't do anything like this. You can only use this. What they even get into what the phrases you can use are. Follow us on Facebook is not a phrase anymore now. It's like us on Facebook. It used to be that you could use follow us. It's kind of funny how they've gone really, really specific. You know, don't pluralize the Facebook trademark. Use it as a verb or abbreviate it. And then you can actually download the brand guidelines. So let's take a look at their PDF. This is their PDF. It's 29 pages long and it has a table of contents, but this is how they've set up their brand asset guide. It's the same exact thing that you're creating. You know, where can things be used, general do's and don'ts, what you need permission on. Here's the brand assets. See, the clear space, getting into the clear space, that they need you to maintain shape and proportions when using the logo. Don't modify the color. Don't alter the color or the scale. Don't fabricate physical objects in the form of the logo. Ooh, typo right here. Don't have any typos. Representing your social channels, they tell you how you can use that appropriately. And then even maintaining, you know, the spacing in between. That clear space, see how it's showing you how much space you need to have. What you can, don't outline the thumb, don't use a solid color with the thumb, don't change the reaction of the thumb. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And there's so many don'ts. But think about it, you know, they are in charge of their corporate identity and you are in charge of your corporate identity. Again, that clear space. You can use the reaction buttons in an appropriate way. It even tells you how to highlight them. When you're highlighting one reaction, what the scale should be compared to the other ones. If you want to show screen grabs, it shows you how to do that. That you can't change the reactions. You can't, you know, kind of move them around. If you're using an interface template, that you need to use it in a specific way. So there's a lot in this brand guideline. I'm kind of laughing at how I picked out like one little typo that I saw there. And then Twitter does the same thing. You know, you can download their brand assets right here, but here's their brand guidelines. Let's take a look. So theirs is only 14 pages. So here's some of the basics. You know, only showing the logo in the Twitter blue or white. When you're using the logo, make sure that you give it some room to breathe. So they're saying here it is scaled at 100%. The clear space around it needs to be an extra 50% all around. So 150% of the width of the logo. How you compare it. And again, showing that dotted line for the clear space. How you can set it up with the icons. Here's a whole bunch of misuse of the icons. Don't use the old word mark. That used to be their old logo. Now their logo is just the Twitter bird. Here's their the color schemes broken down, the hex color, the RGB, the CMYK, and even the Pantone. And their grayscale colored down, their typography, how to set up, example tweets, how to use the trademark, and then the guidelines. So again, 14 pages, not as long as the Facebook one, but really, definitely gets into how to do this. So if you're looking for some inspiration, check out the Facebook. I think the Facebook and the Twitter brand guidelines, like the usage guides, I think they really do a good job of, especially the Twitter one, because I feel like the Twitter one had almost everything except for, the specific sizes. They really set it up. You don't have to set this up. And what did we notice about that? Neither of those is set up as an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So don't feel like you have to fit everything. You can only make one, an 8.5 by 11 sized usage guide. Your size should fit your design of how you need it to be laid out. So again, really get into that and figure out what's going to work best for you. All right, let's take a look at the assessment for week 4. So implementing your professional identity. So though graphic designers are often drawn to the profession because they enjoy being creative and making things as a hobby, being a professional graphic designer who strives within a stable career requires you to master professional self-presentation. You are your own graphic design studio ambassador, and you should be your own biggest promoter and advocate any client who is looking for help with any visual challenge. To this end, it's fundamental that you use your own design skills to create and promote yourself as a designer. Just as a clear corporate identity structure will serve a client, so too will a clear identity structure serve you and reinforce your professional design credibility. From business cards to letterhead to envelopes to your personal website, every place where your audience may encounter your work is a chance for you to extend the story of who you are as a designer. Successful designers recognize and take advantage of these opportunities, and in doing so, develop a positive, credible reputation and a sustainable design career. So for this prompt, for this final assessment, and this is why I'm saying I think you should do this part first, just to make sure your logos work in these instances. If you get your logo on a business card and you're like, uh-oh, doesn't work at that size, it doesn't matter what you put together for your brand assets. So it really might make more sense to kind of work on this assessment first. So you need to have a business card with a logo, phone number, web address. Even if you don't have a web address, make one up. An email address and a mailing address. Most people, I will say, most people don't put a mailing address on their business card. I think it's a little weird. So if instead of a mailing address, I'm going to give you guys this option. If instead of a mailing address, you would like to put, your Instagram tag, your Facebook address, your Twitter handle, something like that, because I think that makes more sense as a graphic designer. Please feel free to do that. You don't have to put your mailing address, but you have to have something in that spot. You can't just leave it up. So it would need to be your Facebook page, your Twitter handle, or even your Instagram. Keep that in mind. For the letterhead, you need to have a logo, a phone number, a web address, an email address, and then a mailing address. And for the letterhead, because you're mailing them something and there's a possibility that they need to respond back to you via mail, put in a mailing address there. If you don't want to use your actual mailing address, make up a P.O. box. That's completely fine. And then for your envelope, you need to have your logo and a return address. So again, if you don't want to use your real address, completely fine. Make up a P.O. box. That's acceptable. You need to use your color scheme that you established and your established type system. So again, remember, you're thinking about, all right, what type pairs with my logo? What type am I going to use? If it's a specific font and you're saying that you're going to go over that in your assignment, again, it needs to be the same font on your business card, your letterhead, and your envelope. You need to use that type system. So you need to think that through. Because again, if you put a certain type system on your brand guidelines and then I look at your assessment and you're not even using your own type system, that makes no sense. So design your pieces first as flat files. That means design your business card. Use those templates that I gave you to design a business card, a letterhead, and an envelope. Then what you're going to do is use Photoshop to mock them up in a 3D context. The good thing is that Adobe Creative Cloud has a lot of assets to help you out with this. Here's a business card mock-up right here that you can download. Do I have a folder for this class? Let's see. So, oh, I do. 242. Add to, oh, it did do that. All right. And you can search. So I'm going to search for envelope. Next. Please don't use these. These are not 3D. This one's good. There. This is probably a size 10 envelope. So we'll double check it today, but that looks like a size 10 envelope. Or even this one right here. These are more your special sized envelopes, and you might see a template for that somewhere on Vistaprint, or you might be able to find a template for that. And here's one with a window if you need to do something with a window. An angle, another one with the folded letter in the envelope. That could be nice. Oh, and then this is really nice too. This one has, right here, has your business card, your envelope, and your letterhead together, which will show all of them together on one table. So this is a really good one. Let's see what there is for letterhead though. A folded letter with the crumpled up one next to it. That's kind of funny. Letter and a business card together. This one's good, and probably this one is good. I love doing these mock-ups. I love seeing how the mock-ups come together. So again, be sure to keep things that you learned in print production in mind when you're creating these pieces. You want to use your CMYK callouts, the correct bleeds, but don't use a bleed on the envelope or put any graphics where it will interfere where the address or postal requirements are needed. So let me pull that up for you. USPS postal envelope requirements. Whoops, not postage, but envelope design requirements. There we go. Designing mail, the USPS.com PDF. All right. We want a number 10 envelope. Which, watch, it's not going to show up that way. That's your reply mail, which this is a PC postcard reply mail, permit reply mail. They have like, there's probably 1 million pages to this. Let me just find your actual page. Really, it should have been there. Oh, here we go. Let's try this one. Design requirements. Their website is awful. Awful, awful, awful. Number 10, envelope, design requirements. Yeah, that seems about right. Here it is. All right. Standard number 10 envelope. I am going to save this for you guys and I will share it with you. I feel like every single time I teach this, they've moved things around. So let me save that there. And it's, you can never even find it on the actual USPS postal site. Which is why it's kind of funny. But other printers, they seem to know. The printers are like, we've run into this so many times, so don't worry about us at all. All right, so I'm going to start with putting together a business card, letterhead, and envelope, and mocking them up. I'm not going to do an actual, I'll do an actual design of the envelope, and I'll do a quick design of the letterhead. I'm going to try to find my business card that I have. Let's see. Here it is. All right, I was gonna say, my husband made them, so sometimes I can't find where he puts things. Drag those files over there. And I'll show you how to mock that up. And then I'm also going to take these, elements of my business card, and I will create a letterhead and create an envelope with you guys. I also wanted to show you some of the envelopes. I hope it downloaded, that I had designed. Doesn't look like it finished downloading. Rock and Joe background. Yeah, that was one of them. Here we go, envelope files. So When I worked at Supercoops, we had to design envelopes all the time. And one of the things that that we started to do before the company went under, I think that they've actually gone under at this point. I stopped working there about, almost 10 years ago now. But they started to sell the envelopes, the back of the envelope and the front of the envelope, as a way to bring in more revenue. So we would have to design the envelope in a certain way to meet, the postal regulations, and so the customer could have like the most exposure possible, so it made it worth their while to buy the envelope. So the company that we went through designed these really cool envelopes. If you're into that sort of thing and you find envelopes to be cool, but they were perforated, and one of the coupons would actually peel off of the front of the envelope and the back of the envelope. So we designed it to look like it was peeling up, and we'd say peel here, and then we had to get the offer within the guidelines of the template. And you might have one person who has half of the envelope over here with just an ad for themselves, and another person who has the other half over here with the coupon that went along with it. And then we also had to design the flap of the envelope as well. So that's where we had decided to put our return address and everything else on the flap of the envelope rather than on the front of the envelope. So we went through a whole lot of different designs. At one point, our company was sold, and we became Save on Everything. And this was the front of the envelope, where you would peel here. The logo, the postage went over here. So you could have an image, but it needed to, when it came back from the printer, they blocked out with a white square where the postage needed to go. And then they would also put in on their end a white circle for the mailing address for each of the households. So it was, there was a lot that went into this. So, you had to be aware of kind of where you were designing things to make sure that, it all fell. And we would have one main design for the front of the envelope for each season or each mailing cycle. And then again, we would, whoever bought the front coupon, they got their coupon there, and that would change from zone to zone. So you would set these envelopes up, and, you would grab the fall template, and you would have possibly 120 different envelope versions. If somebody bought just one zone, one Papagino's bought one zone, then that was one version, but we mailed all over the United States. So within each state, there might be 20 or 30 different zones that we mailed in. So you can kind of imagine what it was like to try to put these files together. And I was the person who was in charge of putting the envelope files together. It was a little bit, I got used to it, doing it, as it went on, and it kind of became my baby in a way, and I didn't let anybody else touch the envelopes. But the first couple of times when we came up with this idea, we had to put everything together, it was a little bit nerve-wracking. You're like, I really hope that we have all of the envelopes where they're supposed to go. And the funny thing is this is where I really started to get into photoshopping things. So I had designed, this template with this background, and then came up with the idea of having, the people, like something happening where the people kind of broke the plane of the template. And this one, this envelope right here was the reason why I got my job as the Photoshop person for Benjamin Moore when I left Super Coops, when they had they were definitely going out of business, and they laid off everyone but 10 people. And I was one of there was like 300 of us who worked there, and I was one of the 10 people that they kept. But I was like, ooh, the writing's kind of on the wall here. I'm going to start looking for a new job. And this, I always say, this was how I became Benjamin Moore's Photoshop expert, was showing them this envelope, because this is what we ran with, but this was the original picture. So you can kind of see how I took out the entire kitchen because it was just too busy, and created an entire new kitchen in the background in Photoshop. And they were like, all right, if you can do that, we just needed somebody to kind of take the color off the walls and take the walls out of, some of the pictures, and the flooring out of some of the pictures. Yep, you're good. And they hired me. So I always say, that's the reason why I was able to work for Benjamin Moore. And again, this was actually the first one that we ran, which was cool. But, you can see how you can get really, you're thinking of just a plain white envelope. These started out as a plain old white envelope. Yes, we went through a specific printer who could do a perf on the front and a perf on the back. But you can see where you can get really, really into a design of an envelope and still maintain, the postal regulations by just blocking out areas where the stamp needs to go, and blocking out areas where they need to run the barcode and things like that. And if you're a little bit confused as to, where that might be, go get a piece of mail, that came in, and look at where the barcode kind of came over. And you'll be able to see, oh, all right, that's why, it needs to be done that way. Find any piece of mail. The barcode always ends up at the same part and everything else. But I also wanted to show you some pretty cool, well, at least I think it's pretty cool. I probably think it's pretty cool because I made it. But I just finished up a business card design for my brother for his new company. So I'll turn on my camera real quick. And you can get, the design of this, I think the design came out well. But it was really the material that I chose to have it printed on. There's a company up here that prints, the plastic cards, like your store loyalty cards, or the fob cards that you would use at the gym, things like that. They print that. But what a lot of people don't think of is you can actually use those as business cards, and it just is a little bit, more than handing somebody a paper card when you can hand them kind of a plastic credit card. So I designed, and I'll have to show it to you on paper, I actually designed a clear card for my brother. He's coming up with, he started a business doing social media marketing. And so I wanted something a little bit different for him because I want him to stand out, because there's a lot of people who are doing that. So what I did was I took a one color design, kind of have to show it on, with a white in the background because you're not holding it. My camera's not that great. But I thought, how cool would it be to hand somebody a clear card of, your stuff, and they throw it down on the table and they can see, or they throw it up against anything and they can see it, and just one color. So again, a little bit more pricey to do it that way. But when you're handed something like that, you're like, you tend to look at it longer than if you're handed just a paper card, which I just had. I just had my business card to show you as well. I don't know what I just did with it. I had also designed along the same kind kind of the same way was another card, and this company does so many cool things. You can find, Vistaprint will do the credit cards, but they'll color it. So it's like, it's white and they'll put a color, and if you kind of turn it, you can see along the edge where it's been colored and it's been cut. So again, you know, not the best. I really don't know. Oh, it fell on the floor. So not the best option when you can have, you know, a clear card or an actual colored card that is that color, that plastic is that color and it's cut. I worked for a company down in Florida, and we did these matte, so not shiny, matte black cards, and I had them somewhere and I can't find it, which is, I tore my whole house apart trying to show you guys this today, but I couldn't find it. An example, it's been a couple of years, it might have gotten lost in a few moves, but it was a matte black card, and then we used a black gloss for the logo and the text on top of the matte black. So when you like did this with it, held in the light, it shined. And everybody, his business was doing, he shot a lot of reality TV shows for fishing shows, actually, for the Discovery Channel. And you probably heard me talk about working down there before. So we used to go to the Surf Expo and the boat shows and things like that. And, you know, he wanted a card that was going to stand out over, you know, just a paper card, which makes sense. So that's where we came up with this idea of doing the black on black, because everything he owned was like black, like all of his equipment, all of the things that he put his equipment in, everything was black. So I used to laugh at that all the time. I'm like, you lack any color. So I came up with the idea of doing that black on black card, and I thought that would look really cool, but who prints that? And it was this business up here that, you know, they were like, oh, we can totally do that. We have, we have a matte black credit card that we make. Maybe we can try to do the glossy black finish on top, and we'll, you know, let's try it. Let's see if it works. So they had never done anything like it, but they were like, that sounds pretty cool. So they put it together, they mocked it all up, and they sent me a couple of samples, and I picked a sample. And everyone that we gave those credit cards, we gave those business cards out to, were like, whoa, like, that's so awesome. Like, where did you get this card? And we were like, oh, you know, if you ever need anything, just give us a call. We do some design work on the side too. And, you know, it's just those little touches that you can do where people aren't just going to take your business card, stick it in their pocket, and forget about it. They'll sit there and they're like, I wonder how they came up with the idea to do a clear card. So, you know, you want to think those things through, not just the design, but what it is that you're going to have it printed on. And that's some of the fun stuff. So I wanted to show you some of those. And then also, again, just going back to the envelopes, you know, plain old white envelope. That's how the Super Coops envelope started. This is a number 10 envelope. That was a number 10 envelope. And we just got really crazy with the design and made it stand out in the mail, which was the whole point. So, you know, again, just anything that you can do to make yourself stand out, make sure you're doing it. Right, yeah. You would definitely look a little bit closer at the cards, because it's kind of like those 3D cards that you see where you can fold them and turn them into things. Like, you know, it's like it gives you the instructions for folding it and turning it into origami or something. You know, you're like, oh, wow, I'm going to sit here and totally interact with this card. And people hold on to it. Even if, you know, even just for the reason of someday I might want to have cards made that are similar to this, because I have been holding on to this card for 3 months because I think this card is so cool. You know, so something to consider when you're putting together your designs. All right. So, like I said, I already have my business cards done. My husband actually did my design, our business card, so I'll use that. But I'm going to put together a letterhead and an envelope. So I'm going to use InDesign for my letterhead, and it's just going to be a standard 8.5 by 11. I'm going to have a bleed though, because I think it, you would want to have this professionally printed, and you would probably want to have a bleed for your actual letters that you were, sending out. Go through a printer, have them professionally print out, a box of letterhead for you. Oh yeah, origami, right? Something to write at a restaurant. Exactly. Give it to your kids and have them put it together. Although my daughter's 18 months, she would just take it and throw it on the floor and be like, what is this? Get this out of my face. Because that's pretty much what she does with everything these days. All right, so I'm going to set this up with the bleed. Close you up for a second. And like I said, I had I download those templates. Just double check the one for the letterhead. And there's like almost nothing there. I figured that. I'm like, there's probably not really going to be anything there because we open it up. Oh, I don't know why that didn't show. Interesting. And this is set up as my page setup. All right, I have you set up as inches, but of course you're still showing me things in picas. My Adobe's been a mess since the last upgrade. So I'm gonna do a save as. I'm gonna save this as a PDF. And I'll see if that. No, it's still showing up link. Why are you showing up link? Where are my layers? I don't know why I'm not able to see this in. That's bizarre. Okay, apparently it lets me copy and paste it over though. So weird. So they have pretty close safe margins for theirs. Honestly, like a little bit closer than I might even have given them. And it's not set up for a bleed, which is interesting. But you can set it up, as a bleed yourself. That's fine. So you don't really need to be too particular with the template for the 8.5 by 11. I would give a good margin, just because think about when you're typing something in Microsoft Word, you usually have a 1-inch margin on the sides. So if you want things to line up, you might want to also do a 1-inch margin on the inside and outside. Maybe you only need like a 0.25 for the other ones. You know, I get that this looks a little bit weird, but it's one of those things where, again, you know, think of when you're in Microsoft Word and you're typing out a letter. Word defaults and it puts a 1-inch margin on both sides. So, you know, again, just kind of something to consider when setting up your margins. Just going to show you. Right, that's 1 inch, or is that a 1/2 inch? Let me see. I never pay attention to Word, what's actually going on. Format. Oh, I guess it's a 1/2 inch margin on both sides. All right. So you can give yourself a 1/2 inch margin. I always thought it was a full inch. Maybe that's APA. It's probably APA format. I've been stuck in APA format for the last couple of mods with going to school. So it's probably APA format. Although, 8.5, this is 8 inches. It's not 8.5 inches. Let me just do, let me do a quick template from this. All right, file, save as. If you ever need to try to figure it out, this is the way to do it. Save it as a PDF and then place that in InDesign and double check. So yeah, it actually is an inch because Word sets it up as an 8 by 10, not an 8.5 by 11, which is what we set it up as. So you might want to do that 1-inch margin. All right. Not losing my mind, may feel like it today. There we go. And that way you can see how your letter's going to fit. So again, you know, just little things so that way it looks cohesive on the page. I'm probably going to give myself a little bit more of a margin at the bottom, and that just has to do with my design that I'm going with. I'm probably going to give it about 3/4 of an inch at the bottom, and maybe maybe a 1/2 inch at the top. I'm going to leave this here so I can kind of, or I'll move it out of the way. All right, and then I'm going to open up my business card design because there's some elements of my business card that I want to use in my letterhead. And these were all created in the older version, so I'm going to keep getting errors every single time. I'm going to copy this. Oh, really? Okay. Let's try that one more time. And copy. You. Back there. And this is going to be a little bit difficult. Oh, he did group it. That's good. And copy you. Might be easier for me to just add that in after. Honestly, what is going on with my Adobe today? It's not having an easy time. That makes zero sense. Paste you in. I've been having a lot of issues lately with files that were created, I will say this, in the last few versions of InDesign or Illustrator, and then like that just made zero sense that happened. What on earth is going on here? Oh, all right, there we go. Just want to get you out to the bleed. Thank you. There we go. All right. That's not weird at all. And add you to my swatches. Delete you, redraw you where I need you to be. There we go. Yeah, the last upgrade, everything that I have opened up that has been from an older version of whatever it is that I, had done, it's just been a mess lately, it feels like. So just kind of keep that in mind if you're running into that yourself, that might happen. Move you up to here. Give a little bit more room for my letter, which would then go right in here. And I need my logo. Which I have right here. See if I can grab it. Whoops. Only wanted one artboard. Delete, delete, and done. Here's my logo. Sometimes, especially since the last upgrade where they kind of got rid of like shift scales things proportionally, I've been using the scale tool in the programs because I'm always like, what on earth is going on here? Why are you not working? And just to let you know, for this logo, because you'll notice that there's a gradient in it. It's not built with a real gradient. This is actually built with the like the gradient mesh tool. I cannot use the gradient mesh tool to save my soul. My husband built this, and it does scale proportionally. Because I said, you can't use the logo, the gradient. It's not going to scale proportionally. And he's like, it does the way that I did it. And I was like, all right, fine. You win. That's right. So it does the way that he built it. Although if I was going to redesign this logo today, I probably wouldn't do the gradient. Don't tell him I said that. But I probably wouldn't. And probably run my information down here at the bottom. Or maybe do something like sincerely, or like my signature. I think that that'd be kind of interesting to do. So it always looks like my letters are signed. That could be something fun. It's been so long. I want to say we used Future. It's been so long since I've gone in and changed any of our stuff. I'm thinking that we used Future. I hope I'm right. Not. That's pretty sad. I didn't make a brand guideline, and I should have. It just seems like Future seems like something I would have used. I think it's Future condensed book. So I'm going to just put in a fake P.O. Box 430. No, not going to type. All right. Box 430. I'll just say Boston. I don't live in Boston, Mass. And my phone number, 860-576-8176, and pixel8design.net. I don't know why I put in a double space. That, like, talk about weird things happening. I hit space once, and I put in a double space. Like, what on earth is going on with my InDesign today? So maybe down here, but maybe that blue, so it matches. And I'm gonna sign it with the signature. It's kind of something fun. There. I just use the pen tool to sign. I'm gonna put my name underneath. Something a little bit different. And save this before it self-destructs or something, right? The way my InDesign's working. So I'm going to save this one as my letterhead. I will set up my business cards as well. And actually, I should make a PDF of that too. I'm going to make 2 PDFs. I'm going to make one with the bleed, and then I'm going to make one with all my marks and bleeds, and then one without. So when I mock it up, I don't have to kind of maneuver it to get those crop and bleed marks out. Close you. And then I gave you some dimensions in the slides as well. So a standard printed business card is like 3.5 by 2 inches. And most of them add in that extra 1/8 of an inch of space for the bleed area. So we can set that up as well. So let's set that up. And I'll place those ones that I already designed in. So 3.5 by 2, not facing pages, 2-sided because I have a 2-sided design. I do want a bleed of 1/8 of an inch. I'm not too concerned about my margin right now because I'm just placing it. Although that looks so large, I'm just going to change it to 0.25. And I'll place that front. I guess he didn't do it with the full bleed. Maybe he didn't do it with the bleed. I don't know. I would need to go back in and extend this so it extends to the bleed because it doesn't look like he set it up that way. I'm not going to do it right now though because why are you still set? This is what I mean. My InDesign is so bizarre. It only changed the margins for one page, not for both of them. And then here's the back of the card. Which he did set up with the bleed. Sort of. Oh, husband, he's going to get yelled at. I'm going to say, what did you do with this card? I am not quite sure what he did with this card. I'm going to have to yell at him about it. Definitely needs to extend more on that side. Oh, it printed right. Just to let you know, like it. Oh, I know why. This is weird. The place we had these printed, these are set up to what their dimensions were. They had a very bizarre template because I'm looking at it and I'm like, but it printed right. And I do remember he said, he was like, I've never seen a template like this. So he had to go in and edit the files to get the template to match their template, which was really bizarre. So that's why, all right, so he's not in trouble. That's why he did say, he was like, I've never seen such a weird template. He was like, it made no sense. So he was like, I don't know. He's like, but at the same time, like, they were kind of cheap, you know, print wise, and they did a good job. So that's why. All right, so he's off the hook. Because I'm like, man, this is really weird how he has this set up. But we'll just pretend right now that it's actually set up correctly. I won't. I'm not going to get too crazy. So again, I'm going to make a PDF with my marks and bleeds, and it's going to not look right. Oh, whoops. Or save it first. Code. And I'm going to do one with marks and bleeds so I can see. And I'm going to do one without the marks and bleeds. So that way, when I'm mocking it up, it'll be a little bit easier to mock up without having to. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Hold on. I should have named it differently. Sounds what. All right, there we go. And save. All right, and the reason why I kind of flew through these is I wanted to spend some time on the envelope one, because I feel like the envelope's probably going to be the most confusing of the bunch, which I get. So let's open up that envelope template. And again, you're going to get this error for all the templates because they were created in the older version as well of Illustrator. And let's see. I just want to know in inches. Why are you set up in millimeters? Like, that makes zero sense. Inches. I mean, I have it set to inches. Why is it showing millimeters? Oh, I'm gonna have to Google this. All right, so about 9.5 by 4.13. 9.5 by 4.13. That's bizarre. That seems bizarre. And again, you can choose, if you think it'll be easier, you can choose to design it right on top of this template. That might just be the easiest way to do it. I'm going to do a file save as, and name it envelope. And just kind of work on it that way. I'm also going to do a new layer, and I'm going to place that, that file that I downloaded that shows you the safe area on top of this. So I will share that with you, and it's unfortunately it's like a GIF file, which is not that big, but at least it it gives you an idea. Of where the safe areas are. Oh, and this at least gives you the dimensions, which are different than what they gave us. 4 3/8 by 9.5. 3/8 does not seem right. And then I have 2 boxes here of actual number 10 envelopes, and they're 4 1/8 by 9.5. So that's kind of weird. Although the 9 3/4 makes sense because you're doing a bleed on either side. Apparently nobody can get their act together with their templates. For real. Let's try setting it up in InDesign. I mean, yeah, InDesign. So I'm going to set it up as, I'm going to set it up as 9.5 by 4 1/8, and then I'm going to manually add in my bleed. Because that's what both of my boxes of envelopes are. And I'll just manually add that bleed in. Anything larger for a bleed will be fine. All right, let's try to close you up. All right, so definitely the stamp is going to be over here. And maybe to try to get it into my margin. That kind of, actually getting it into the margin kind of works. At least then you know that you have like your general areas blocked out. So let's just do some layers of, we'll call it the no zone. That means it needs to be white. Call this our template. Our bad template. And then our design will go on, whoops, this layer. I told you envelopes are the worst. I was not lying. So, all right, so the size of a stamp is 1 1/8 inch high. So this is how we can figure this out. 1.125 by 1.125. And so here's my stamp. So this needs to expand. Till it is the same size as my stamp needs to be. Here, we'll put them both right here. Oh, all right. Well, pretty close, I guess. Oh, maybe it wasn't that far off. They have the stamp really, really close to the edge with the bleeds. I'm going to move my stamp in, honestly. But just keep in mind that you can't, don't put anything else over kind of like clear, like let's think about our safe zones. So I'm just going to add, a good safe zone around that. Layer am I on? Gonna put this in my no zone. I'll turn off my design for right now because I'm gonna just set up and my mailing address needs to go within this area. So again, this is gonna get a white box as well for a no zone. And then this is where my barcode goes. So also a no zone. Right, I'm gonna put it right to the bleed. And lock these. I'm actually going to turn off this layer because I can see on this layer at least where my no zone is. And I'm going to put my design in between these so that way you can take off afterwards the black outline, but at least then you can kind of see where kind of see where things are, if you put a design element here, it's not going to work. So it kind of gives you a good idea. All right, I'm going to open up my letterhead that I just did, and I'll try to grab some elements from there. They're already typed out. And set up. So I'm going to grab this. Ugh. And probably bring it down just a little. I want to get my logo in here. And grab just the address. And I have no idea what the zip code would be, so I'm just going to put 5 zeros. There we go. And change that to black so it stands out. Maybe on 2 lines. I'm gonna line it up with the bottom of this. We'd probably end up getting set up that way if that was a real address with a P.O. box. And I don't know why that's doing that. That's so bizarre. There's like so many weird things going on with my InDesign today that I don't even know where to start. I try to expand shapes and then they go away. I don't even know what's going on. Group view. Something like that. And then I might keep the white just blocked out anyways. Or maybe that's just too much. Again, maybe instead what I can do is I can think about designing the flap on the back. Which, bring up my layers. I'll put the flap here. It's usually about 1.5 inches. And actually copy this. Make the flap the blue, my swatch. Such weird things going on. And then maybe back here, I will attempt to add this in. Nope, it's definitely not what I just did. All right, there we go. All right, so you worked. See you. There we go. And I'll probably copy this information back here. Maybe center my logo. I don't know. Oh, whoops, that's why. I'm like, that doesn't look very centered. There we go. You know, something like that. Maybe even have a colored envelope. That's just very subtle blue. Who knows? Save this as envelope while I'm working on it. And go back into my layers. I'm going to go into my no zone. I'm just going to clear, I'm going to lock my design for a second. I'm going to take out the black outlines that I have. I'm actually going to take that out altogether. And I'm just going to turn, leave these white. Out an outline, I don't know why that's doing that. And then, honestly, the front of my envelope would end up being the same color, because if it's a, whoops, if it's a color. We'll do like a gradient to white. Something like that. So again, kind of a quick design that I've done. Save that. Make a PDF both ways with bleed. And then one without the bleed. And save. And again, this is why you can see, you know, possibly doing the envelope, the business card, and the letterhead first with your logo and making sure, like, all right, this works. This is the font I need to use. All of these different things. These are the color swatches that I'm using. Those are all the things that are going to then go into your brand asset guide. So putting everything, all of your assets together before you do your brand asset guide makes it a little bit easier to go back through and figure out, like, oh, all right, I'm going to do this, this, and this. You know, I use this, this, and this. This needs to go into my brand asset guide. So it's it's working in a little bit of a different way, but I think it'll be a little bit easier for you in the long run. All right, so those mock-ups that you've downloaded, those will show up in your Creative Cloud assets. So, which they used to let you get to right through here. I didn't know why it doesn't let you do that anymore. So let's just create a new file, I guess. I'm just going to do 8.5 by 11 right now because I need to just get into my library. I'm not happy with the 2019 upgrade. You can probably tell. I'm just like, why? Why on earth are you doing this way? All right, so I want to use, I only have 15 minutes, so let's do this one with all three. Double click on it, it's going to open up. You used to just right from that screen, it would bring you right to your library, so you could just open it up. It's kind of silly to make a new document to get to something that you need. But here we are. So I'm going to do File Save As immediately and name it what I need it to be named and get it out of my temporary items. I'm going to put it in week 4, assets. I'm going to call it branding, Pixelate. You would name it, honestly, well, you need to put all of these together as a multi-page PDF. So you can pretty much name this whatever you need it to be named and then save it as a PDF. And then save it as a PDF and put all the PDFs together. So I'll show you how to do that. All right, that's good. So if we have to stay a little bit late, yeah. I just want to make sure that everybody gets what we're doing. All right, so for the business card one, open it up, and you'll see where it says replace me. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to click there, and it's going to say place artwork here. And that's just a logo, and it's only going to put something right there. We need to actually place our business card on top of here, which can get done. But not with the replace me area. All right, so this is a good it's a good template because it has everything that we need, but it's not a good template because it wasn't set up to just add in your full design, which is a little bit dumb, if I say so myself. So that's kind of what we're going to have to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new layer right here, and I'm going to name it Pixel 8 card. And I'm going to turn off this replace me. I'm not even going to use it. And then you can place embedded your PDF, or you can open up your PDF and copy and paste it in, whichever one you want to do. I'm just going to place embedded, and I want the one without the bleed because I don't want to have to deal with trying to crop those bleed marks out. And I'm just going to do side 1 because that's really all that is going to be seen here. And this is where some of your Photoshop skills are going to have to come into play. So you're going to want to do a Command T for transform, and holding down the Command button, which is your Apple button, although they don't put the Apple on it anymore. It used to be called your Apple button. You're going to see how it goes from the 2 arrows to the white arrow. You want that little white arrow because that way you can start to skew your design. And you're not going to behave for me, are you? No, not gonna go in the direction I want you going. That sounds about right for today. So we're going in the opposite direction. Alrighty. I will make you work. Line it up. I need you. That way. Thank you. And come on. Ooh. just there. Let me see. Let's zoom in a bit. There. There. Here. And right there. And oh, this is all right. I know why this. They changed the way this works, apparently, since they did away with holding down shift for things. It's oh. I have to just kind of keep hitting enter and command T again to like manipulate it. Oh, yeah, Photoshop engineers. This works so great now. Like it's trying to constrain the proportions. I don't want, oh my God. I don't want that to happen. What they've done is it seems as though they're trying to do things for you. So you don't manually have to do anything anymore, but that's not why we use Photoshop. We use Photoshop because we know what we're doing. If we didn't know what we were doing, we would use some other program to do these things. This is really annoying. Let me see if edit transform view. Because, I mean, if you've ever done this, you know that the points you're not touching are just supposed to stay there. They're not supposed to be doing what they're doing right now. Yeah, I want to, yeah, commit it, yes. Oy. And it's not just me complaining about this. Like I've been reading online, and basically people are just losing their minds. I'm probably gonna have to Google why this is doing this. Because there's probably some option somewhere that I have to turn off to tell it to have the tool work the way it used to work. But I'm not seeing that option right now. Yeah, all right. I'm glad it's just like you're watching this going, that's not how that's supposed to work. Essential sometimes. Like I'm at a loss for how to even. This makes. I'm at a loss for how to even like fudge it right now. Oh wait, hold on. We're getting close. Oh no, because it moved up here. Why are you? Why? 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 Oh. Nope, that was definitely not what I wanted to do. Hold on. But maybe it was. That, and why does the lock and the unlock have the same icon now? That makes sense. I very much dislike when things don't go the way I want them to go during the live session, but as you can see, this is, I don't know if that's the reason why. I don't think so, though. Oh. Oh, it didn't even place it. It placed it on its own layer. Let me see if, hold on, let's try to rasterize the layer. See if that'll do it. Maybe, maybe. No. Oh. This might be even more annoying now. Well, rasterizing the layer kind of worked a little bit, although now my points are all off, but at least it's moving my edges where I want them to go. So that might be what you need to do, is get it, scale it to the size you need it to be, and then rasterize the layer. Then what we're going to do, all right, because that's at least, now that's on there at least. Although I need white in the background here. So what I'm going to have to do is right here, this is that Pixelate card that I created. I'm going to have to use that and make my white background, I think. Edit fill with white. All right, much better. And then drag this mask on top of that layer. And then it kind of works. All right. Whew, that was a whole lot. Well, that part's done. Easy peasy. All right, so let's, I'm gonna, for the next one, I'm gonna place it embedded. I'm gonna scale it to the size, and then I'm gonna rasterize it, and I think that that might make it a little bit easier because it's clearly, that didn't work. So again, in between these two layers, I'm gonna do a new layer. I'm in the letterhead now. And I'm going to do a file. Place embedded, like where are you? And I want my letterhead, the one without the bleed. Okay. Where? That's bizarre. That's weird. Why? Turn you off? Okay. Once I turn that off, that works. Holy. All right. And again, for some reason now, if you hit the shift button to scale things proportionally, that means it no longer scales things proportionally in this world of Photoshop. That I don't want to turn it though. Hold on. Because why would it? right? Where's, oh my goodness. All right. I don't want to turn it yet because once I have it about the size I need it, right here, I'm going to just go to that layer and rasterize that smart object right there. And then do my Command T. I'll start to turn it. And now it's working the way I want it to, with holding down the command button. Oh, that one went much smoother. Whew. Get right to that edge, zoom in. Right to this edge. Right to this edge. Oh, and it's actually working. Whew. And right to that edge, hit enter. And again, I'm going to have to make the white paper background again. I'm just going to I don't want to lose this nice drop shadow I have going on, so I'm trying to stay within the inside of the drop shadow. I'm using the pen tool to do this, and I'm just turning the path into a selection. It's just a little bit easier to kind of do it that way, I think, anyways. So then I go up and I just hit selection and edit, fill, white, turn that back on. And I got to drag. I'm actually going to merge these two layers. And drag this on there. There we go. All right. Much better. I might still have to turn that off. I had to turn it off on the business card one. All right. Last but not least, the envelope. Whew. Drum roll, please. New layer. And you'll notice it's not so much that I really needed to do that new layer for the to place the envelope on, but I'm using that to just do the white background again, so it matches my paper and my, you know, the inside of my business card. And I'm going to need to probably do the same thing with my envelope because I had that gradient there. So that's why I'm doing that new layer in between. That's where I'm coloring it white. Envelope. I had it labeled with bleed, the one that had the bleed. Okay, so front of the envelope. See how the gradient, it always turns to clear, basically. Ugh. Holding down shift, because that's how the world used to work. No, that doesn't drive me bananas. Oh, this is really like the worst idea I think that they've ever came up with. Photoshop. Command T, holding down my command button, drag you over here. I talk to my artwork. You over here, you over here. Hold on. You behave. Oh, I forgot to, I know what I did. Hold on. Like, why isn't it doing it? I forgot to edit that layer and transform that layer and rasterize it. That's why. Oh, I would have just gone through the whole thing that I went through with the business card. All right. Grabbing. Here we go. Why is this happening again? Not again, not again. Oh. I do hate, though, that if you hit enter, you don't get the dots don't stay where they are. So that's why I went back, because I needed to fix it, and it would have taken me 20 minutes to fix it without the dots being where I needed them to be, as opposed to just going back one step. So I still have the dots in the corner. Okay. Perfect. And then for this one, again, just going to use the pen tool, make background of this white, match the inside of my envelope. Edit fill white. It's a new one. I'm going to merge these two. So if I grab both of them, right click, merge my layers, drag that on top, turn this off. All right. Something weird happened right here. What happened right here? Oh, because that's where my barcode needs to go. That's right. It's not so much as something weird happened. It's just that that's how I had to set that up. All right. So mocked up. Feeling good about it. Gonna save it. Yeah, I know. What in the world have they done? Is correct with Adobe. I feel like I say this every time Adobe has an upgrade, and if you've had me in a class where they've upgraded in the past, you probably heard me say it. But I feel like they're trying to do things so that way. Oh, where did I just put this? Oh, I wanted to save this as a PDF. Sorry. I'll open it back up. I feel like they're trying to do things so that way you feel justified in paying the subscription fee every month for those of us who paid the subscription fee. And the thing is us old school people, I consider that me. I'm an old school person. Want this cropped in a little bit more before I saved it as a PDF. We're just happy that we don't have to spend $4,000 to buy the program. So if you want to charge us $35 a month, that's fine. I am completely fine with that because I don't have to spend $4,000 buying the program. $35 a month, much more reasonable. But I feel like for those of you who may not have been in the old school, you had to buy the program for $4,000, and you're saying, well, I'm paying $35 a month, what am I getting? And I think that that's why we're seeing so many upgrades, is they're trying to justify it, like to those of you who might not have ever had the program before the subscription, where you're like, I know you're paying $35, but look, we upgraded again. Look, we upgraded again. Look, more upgrades. But Adobe used to actually really test and think through their upgrades when you had to buy the program because it came on a disc. and it had to be ready to go. And there weren't these upgrades on the fly that they could just do fix and patch things. And there's been a lot of problems lately, and it's because I think that they're just putting out the upgrades too quick. So that's just my 2 cents on it. All right, so this is how I'm going to put this together to be a multi-page PDF. I'm going into Acrobat, and you'll notice that I have my business card with a bleed, my business card without a bleed. My last page is my branding. I have my envelope with and without a bleed, and my letterhead with and without a bleed. So I'm going to go to File. I want to create by combining files into a single PDF. And I'm just going to drag these right from the Finder. This one, 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 this one. I'm going to drag them all in. But I'm going to put them into an order that I think makes sense. So I want my branding to be last, so you can see it as a cohesive piece. I want the non-bleed first, so what it's going to look like at the cut size, then my, with the bleed set up so you can see how it needs to go to the printer, the cut size, how it needs to go to the printer, the cut size, how it needs to go to the printer, and then last but not least, all my branded elements. And then I'm going to do a file. I'm going to hit combine before I save anything. There we go. Put them all together. And now I have this nice 11-page PDF, which has the front and back. And again, with the bleeds, envelope, front and back, with the bleed set up, my letterhead, and then my final, all my branding. And it's going to default to call it binder. So you want to just do a file save as and grab the naming convention. And it's going to choose some random folder to put this in, like my downloads. It's not even going to choose like the folder where I just grabbed everything from. Again, makes zero sense why it does that. So click choose a different folder and manually put this where you need it to be so it doesn't get lost in your week 4 assessment folder named appropriately, and save that. So that's probably the easiest way to put together, all of your pieces as the multi-page PDF, is to just let Acrobat do it for you. Make everything the size it needs to be in InDesign, and then export those PDFs as you need to export them, and then just tell Acrobat to just combine all the files together for you and make one PDF. I think that's honestly the easiest way. And then when you do that, your branding, the mock-up, make sure you save the PSD file as a PDF. And I cropped it in. It just had way too much, gray space, not even white space, gray space going on. So I knew it would look really small on the screen. So before I made that PDF, I just kind of cropped it in. But I left the PSD file not cropped, just so you can see the difference. All right, and again, put together your assignment. Look at the Facebook and the Twitter brand guidelines for some inspiration. I feel like those are really laid out really well. If you guys have any questions or concerns, please email me earlier in the week. Again, I'm not going to be home on Friday. And I hope that this was at least helpful for getting all of this put together, because I know those envelopes are kind of weird to put together. And just so we could all see together some of the weird things that happened in Photoshop these days. So don't forget, if you're going to place those PDF files, once you scale them, don't forget to rasterize them. That really makes it a lot easier. All right, thank you everyone who was able to come and everybody who's watching at home. I hope that you guys enjoyed the class, and have a great rest of your week 4. Oh, you might see me again. All right, see you guys soon.